Rafael Osuba, Artistic Director for Artist Studio Project Publishing, ASP Books, and I am super excited to do this today. I know that I hope, first of all, that everyone is doing well and everyone is safe. It's been a little bit stressful over the last couple of weeks staying home, and for us, it's been difficult given the fact that we're super excited about launching our fifth book. A project that took a long time to put together with our good friend Agustin Villacis, and unfortunately, due to the circumstances, we had to postpone the third annual Cervantino Book Fair. We're working hard to try to reschedule the book fair, and we will be having that information out to everyone shortly, as soon as we get past this. In the meantime, we are trying to find different ways to introduce and reintroduce these wonderful writers and authors to you, and we found a way. So we wanted to take a few moments to share this wonderful good friend of mine, author, that has published now his 8th book. His books are, he has written novels, short stories, poems, as well as self-help books, even children's books. This is his first adult bilingual book, and we're so proud to be able to have published it. So without further ado, what I want to do now is introduce you to my good friend, Agustín Villacis Paz. Hola.
Hola, Rafael. How are you?
Good to see you. Thank you. I was just telling folks how excited we are to be able to find a way to launch this book. We were looking to do this back in, with the third annual Cervantino Book Fair, and unfortunately, due to the circumstances that we had, we weren't able to do that. Very disappointed in that, but where there's a will, there's a way, and we have found a way. And hopefully, this will give us an opportunity to introduce you to those that are watching, reintroduce you to our good friends, and then share with them this wonderful project that we worked together on. 20 short stories. And so tell us a little bit about yourself. We know that you are originally from Ecuador, from Guayaquil, now living in Charlotte, and you've been there for quite a while. This is your 8th book, your first bilingual adult book. And tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us about how you got started in writing and why you chose to write this book.
Thank you, Rafael. Hello, everybody. It is a pleasure to be talking to all of you, and to you especially, Rafael. Yes, I am from Ecuador. I was born in Guayaquil, and in 2000, my wife and I came to live here in the USA, and our home now is Charlotte, North Carolina. About 5 years ago, I had this call, I would say, of start writing something I always wanted to do. And I did it just as a hobby at the beginning. And I wrote some poems, etc. So one day I was going through my notes, and I said, okay, why not trying to publish a book? So I started the process. During that process, of course, I had published for the last 5 years, like you said, 8 books. And most of them are self-published books. And besides the fact that I had to write and, of course, learn how to write, because it's not only having the desire, there are some things that you really have to learn to be able to do it good and better. I had to learn how to be an independent writer.
And that's not as easy as most people think. It takes a lot of commitment. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of things that we have to learn. It takes some patience, especially if you're not familiar with software. The good thing is that there's a lot of opportunities right now in this era that we're living in to be able to self-publish, and that's a great thing. But it is a lot of work, and for a lot of people, they find it discouraging, and they don't want to publish for that reason.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes a lot of time. So let me tell you, it has taken me good 5 years to get to know all the details of that process. So it's not easy. You need You need to spend time and money to be able to, to learn. It's not impossible, but it's always, there's an avenue, let me put it that way, for somebody who wants to do it. But you have to be careful because you also need to think about the quality of the book and the quality of the details of the book, etc. So always, there are opportunities such as, people like you, Rafael, who have, the desire to help, and you have your own publishing company. And that's another avenue that, people could take to be able to publish their book. So during those years, I published a couple of children books. I have poetry. I have short stories. I have a nonfiction book, which is one that I really like. It's called Sé el héroe de tus conquistas. And it's a self-improvement book, which I recommend. It's very good, it's a very good book. And of course, right now, I'm very excited to, in partnership with you, Rafael, to start promoting and launching this new book, which is an anthology of short stories of the 20 bilingual short stories book that I did in a joint venture with ASP Books.
And tell us a little bit about this book and how it came to be. I mean, obviously, this is, like I said, our second collaboration. Our first collaboration where we worked, we published your mom's book.
Yes.
A series of poems. And now we've been very fortunate to be able to do this book, not only of short stories, but bilingual. And tell us a little bit about that being, for us, it's exciting to be able to do this book bilingual. And the reason for us is because we know that there's a market out there. There's great stories that need to be told. And these stories need to be told, we tell these stories in Spanish, but why not tell them in English? Those are great stories that are going to transcend and are effective and can communicate our thoughts, our feelings. And there's another market out there. And let's face it, we live here in the United States, and there's a huge market when it comes to English readers. And, let's face it as well, it's becoming more and more difficult to get people to just read. So if we just segment that group to just one language, that's not a good thing. So for us to be able to get this book not only in Spanish, but to be able to do it in English, it just opens the market and gives us a better footing in letting folks know that we do have good stories that need to be told. And it gives us a better opportunity for people to read your work.
Yes, Rafael, you're completely right on this. And first of all, as in my case, what was the goal that I wanted? And it was, first of all, it was a desire to leave a legacy to my family. And why having to write a bilingual book is because, I don't know how many years from now, my great grandkids would like to know what I wrote. So they're going to have a place to go and read it either in English or in Spanish. We have to face it. We live in the United States. Sometimes our kids, they even though we try to make sure that they're bilingual, sometimes, the English becomes their native language. So this is an opportunity, in my case, for my family to have this legacy that I want to give them, through the years. And then after that is, how do I contribute to the Hispanic art in the United States? There's so many good writers that I personally know. There are so many good artists that are always feeding and enhancing the culture of the United States. This process of being bilingual, it's something that we have to help the community and leave things that, speak to their own nature, and enhancing the culture of the United States is critical and important. Now, with those two goals in mind, Rafael, when I started writing this book, it became, again, writing short stories, and through the years, I've been collecting them. And what I did first is, okay, am I writing something that people are gonna like? So I put them through different forums, and I was lucky to find in Spain forums of readers who speak Spanish, in Spain, and I put my work there with several other works, and they were able to comment on suggestions or comment on, do I like this, I don't like this. So I have good and good feedback. And of course, there's some negative feedback as well and recommendations. So all that is part of the learning experience. So I collected these 20 short stories in Spanish first.
Yeah, so speaking of these wonderful stories, why don't we go ahead and listen to you read us one of those. Why don't we start off in Spanish and then maybe we can do something in English?
Yes, this is my book, okay? So I'm gonna pick one story and I'm gonna start with a Spanish story. One story that I know a lot of people liked is called Un Día con el Abuelo. And in my book, I have different genres, and one of the genres are memoirs. So this is a memoir, okay? So Un Día con el Abuelo. Esta mañana fui a visitar tu tumba. Tu nombre escrito sobre la lápida se confundía en una pared blanca con cientos de nombres de quienes ya se han marchado de este mundo. Coloqué una flor, golpeé con las palmas de mis manos la superficie de tu nombre, pretendiendo que sepas que estaba allí. Me quedé observando. Los recuerdos vinieron. Empecé a revivir tu imagen alegre cada domingo por la tarde, cuando tu casa se llenaba de hijos y de nietos. Mis padres y yo íbamos a la misa de las 6 de la tarde a la iglesia de San Alejo y luego pasábamos a visitarte. Eras muy paciente, pues mis primos y yo hacíamos un desorden muy grande. Nos gustaba jugar al fútbol con una pelota hecha con medias, en un pequeño corredor oscuro que unía la sala y los cuartos. Las vivencias y las emociones volvieron a recorrer mis venas al pensar en aquel cuarto que tenía una hamaca en donde jugábamos a ser bomberos que rescataban a la gente de grandes incendios que solo ocurrían en nuestras mentes. Al momento de partir, nos regalabas una moneda a cada uno de nosotros. Yo podía verte cuando salías a la ventana de la casa a despedirnos. Este es un relato, Rafael, que es una memoria, es algo que realmente yo viví con mi abuelo y que creo que todos nosotros en forma individual tenemos tantas historias que contar de nuestros abuelos. Entonces es parte de este libro y también hay la versión en inglés que está disponible.
Sí, y eso es bien importante, grabar esas memorias. Algunas veces el mundo sigue cambiando. The world keeps changing. And so a lot of times the only way that we can hold on to those memories is to write them down, whether it's in a diary and memoirs. And this is a great gift that you're giving to your children as well, because they're able to maybe look at a simpler time, a time where people acted differently, right? And
Right.
The way that they treated their elderly family members was different. And we know that things are really changing and they're changing fast. That's a wonderful story. It brings a lot of memories into my own mind as to my relationship with my own grandparents and my own family. How about we read something in English?
Absolutely. And one of the things that, we as writers are always trying to find what to write about. So this is something that came out of an incident that I witnessed. The name of this story is called Apartment 202. So one day I was at Middle Beach, which is a beach close to where I live. And I was driving home. And when I got into one of the streets, it was a little bit dark. And I saw in the middle of the street, the body of a woman laying on the street with a little dog. So I stopped by and my wife and I, and then we approached the lady and the lady, something was happening to her. So we helped her, and the dog was barking and we took her up to her apartment. And then we didn't know what else happened after that, okay? But out of that image came Apartment 202, okay? So Apartment 202 reads like this. In chapter 1, I'm going to read this small paragraph, the beginning of it. The warm spring morning was playing over the horizon when Irina arrived at the hospital. After a night of insomnia in which solitude had replaced sleep, she realized that she had forgotten her access card and that her wedding ring was still squeezing her finger. She usually left it in the car, but today it had become embedded in her skin. She changed quickly. put on her white coat, and then rushed to the intensive care unit. The head nurse, with her stethoscope hanging round her neck, told her, "You're a bit late." Irina returned her gaze. She did not reply. Her boss knew her current situation, and sometimes she excused her lateness. Irina took instructions about 3 patients whose care she would be in charge of during the day. So this is the introduction of that apartment 202. It's a short story, but it's got probably 20 pages. So, but it is based on that incident, Rafael.
And that's really awesome, because what happens is a lot of times, you know, I get the question. Well, I work with a lot of different artists, visual artists as well, musicians, composers, of course, writers. And people always ask, where do you get your inspiration? And inspiration can come from anywhere. It can come from a conversation that you had with a family member, a friend. It could be something as simple as that visual that you had. And it's really amazing to see how creative people are able to draw inspiration from the simplest things. And then of course we have our own experience that we add to it, and what makes it wonderful. Talk to me a little bit more about the other stories that you have. I know that there's a crime thriller in there as well.
Yes,
And
yes, Rafael. Some of the stories, of course, they have. When I describe the scenery of the stories, I usually like to put them in places where I have been. So one of the stories is about a crime, a romance and crime, and it takes place in Venice. And it's a very, and the name of that story is, the title of that story is The Mirror of the Passions. So it's a romance story that takes place in Venice, and I narrate that all the different places where a couple who are in love, go. So there are places in Murano, Burano, and all those islands that are close to Venice. And also, the whole thriller is around the situation in Venice. When you go to Venice, there's a lot of windows where you can shop, and stores where you can shop masks. And the story of Venice is that, they used to have this big carnival in which everybody was wearing their masks to kind of hide their own identity. So this story gets a little bit of all that, plus the places such as the Rialto Bridge and all the nice restaurants around, and the different, channels that go through Venice, etc. So it's a very, very nice story. It's called The Mirror of the Passion. Another one is, and this is another personal story, has to do with the love of animals. So I have one that is titled, the title is A Dog Named Tony. And it's a true story of a dog that my brother and I had. It's a wonderful German Shepherd. So it's a very nice story that takes place in a different city where I used to live before. Another one is called 1 Mile, and it talks about the disease of Alzheimer. So one day I was, again, in a place, and everybody was at this park, and there was a band of musicians, and a lot of older people were kind of watching the band. And this band, they were representing or mimicking Elvis Presley. And then there was a walk that was happening, in that park to kind of celebrate all the people that had Alzheimer. So there is a story that is called 1 Mile, because all you needed to do is walk 1 mile to kind of support, that. So it's a very neat story, short story, like 1,000 words. But it's pretty neat. So I mean, I have different stories that are related to different events that I witnessed or I was part of.
So Agustin, we wanted to do this short video because we wanted to let folks know about your work. We were super excited about the launching of this new book for us, our 5th book, for you, your 8th. And tell us a little bit about what people, well, first of all, the book is now available on Amazon. So you can go on Amazon and you can purchase your book there. Soon it will be available on ASP Books, Koki Books as well. And I'm going to go ahead and put on the bottom here, I'm going to put link so people can learn a little bit more about your other books and where they can find them. You also have a website, and you have a blog that you do. So I'll put all that information down there, AgustinVillacisPaz.com. And then, of course, we want to let folks know to stay tuned because we are going to be reprogramming the third annual Cervantino Book Fair. But is there anything else that you would like to share with us about yourself or your book or anything else?
Well, I like to invite really to all the writers, the ones that have stories written and they're thinking about putting them out to available to the public. I know that it can be challenging, but it's not impossible. So if they reach out to people like you, Rafael, that I know you personally, and I do know that you are always helping, you know, artists who wanna show their work, it is possible. It is possible, you know, but it requires commitment on our part to be able to do that. So I like to invite them because it is important that the Hispanic community in the United States keeps adding, you know, art to this beautiful country that is our land as well. And by doing that, we're enhancing the culture, and we are enhancing our own culture because we also, we are a community that has art, and we want to share that. So I invite everybody to do it and just, you know, take that step forward and start sharing their work. And at the same time, Rafael, I'd like to thank you personally again, because you've been you're my friend. You're a good people, good person to work with, and I know that you do this with a heart. And I recommend, you know, ASP Books. It has been wonderful working with Rafael, and I like the fact that Rafael is very detail oriented, and that sometimes, you know, helps not sometimes, all the times helps in the process, because that's part of showing your work with quality. Because it's not only showing your work, it's showing your work with quality as well. And that is showing respect for the people. So thank you, Rafael.
Well, thank you. For us, it's been a delight working with you. And for us, it's very important. The reason we started Artist Studio Project Publishing was because we felt that there was a lot of stories that needed to be told. I have always said that it's better for us to tell our own stories, because when we allow others to tell it, well, they're going to skew it, or they're going to do it in a way that maybe is not the best. It's not going to show us in the best light. And I think that it's very important for us to cultivate, to have people dream big, and why not? We have great stories that need to be told, that need to be shared, and I'm just super excited to be able to collaborate once again with you. This is our 5th book that we've been able to publish in less than 5 years. It's truly been amazing, and I invite any artist that is looking to share their story, that is looking to hone their craft, to contact us. You know that for us, this is a passion. We make very little to no money doing this. A lot of times we don't even cover expenses. So, you know, I do it with a lot of passion. I do it with a lot of love. And thank you very much for trusting me and giving us the opportunity to work together. So with that, I want to say goodbye. I want to encourage everyone to stay tuned to what ASP Books is doing, as well as, you know, El Quijote Festival. I want to invite everybody to learn a little bit more about Agustín Villacis Paz. You can do that with the links that we have below. This is a great time, since you're stuck home anyways. Go out, buy the book, read it. I know that you will enjoy it. They're short stories. They're perfect for an evening after dinner. You want to sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and read something from the beginning to the end. That's not going to take too much of an investment. And you will find that you'll read the first one, then you want the second one, then the third one, and before you know it, you'll finish the book. But it's a wonderful read. We're very proud of it, and I know that you will truly enjoy it. So with that, I want to say goodbye. Thank you, Agustín, for taking the time to spend with us. And I want to encourage everyone to go out and get the book. You have to buy it, and you can get that at the link below. So with that, I want to say thank you, goodbye, and stay tuned, because there'll be much more. Adios.
Thank you. Bye-bye.